Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about finding the factor pairs of trinomials. The objective is that by the end of this video, you should be able to make the expression 3n squared minus 17n plus 10 look like the expression 3n minus 2 and n minus 5. We're going to start with something a little bit more familiar, which is to write the factor pairs of 24. Now to find the factor pairs of 24, we need to find two numbers that multiply together to give us 24. Now there's several possibilities. It could be 24 and 1, 12 and 2, 8 and 3, or 6 and 4. Each one of these pairs of numbers multiply to give us 24, so therefore they are factor pairs of 24. Now we're going to extend this idea of factor pairs of numbers to factor pairs of algebraic expressions such as 3n squared minus 17n plus 10. But before we start, we're going to take a look at some vocabulary and then a brief review of distribution. The first vocabulary word we're going to look at are the terms of an algebraic expression. The terms of an algebraic expression are the variables and constants of an expression that are added to each other. For example, if I gave you 3n minus 5, the terms of this algebraic expression are 3n and negative 5. Now, it doesn't really look like the negative 5 is being added to the 3n, but remember we can always make this plus negative 5. So again, the terms of 3n minus 5 would be 3n and negative 5. The terms of 3n squared minus 17n and plus 10 are 3n squared, negative 17n, and positive 10. The next two vocabulary words we're going to take a look at are the words binomial and trinomial. The word bi meaning 2, the word tri meaning 3. And the word nomial meaning name. In other words, we have two names. A binomial is an algebraic expression that contains two terms. Again, the word bi lets us know that there are two of them. An example, 3n minus 2 is a binomial because it has two terms, 3n and negative 2. A trinomial is an algebraic expression that contains three terms. And again, the word tri lets us know that there are three of them. So example, 3n squared, negative 17n, and 10 is a trinomial because it has three terms. Now to understand factoring, we need to first briefly review distribution. So if I ask you to simplify 2x minus 3 and 3x plus 4 by distributing, one method is to make a box, 2x, negative 3, 3x, and 4, and we're going to multiply the terms as they meet together in the box. 2x and 3x gives us 6x squared. 2x and 4 gives us 8x. 3x and negative 3 gives us negative 9x. Negative 3 and 4 gives us negative 12. When we combine our like terms, we get 6x squared, the negative 9x and 8x combined, giving us minus x, and then we write down the minus 12. Now there's several things I want you to notice about these expression, or rather this expression we got after we multiplied. Notice that the term in the upper left-hand box, I'm going to outline that in red, and the term in the lower right-hand box, shade that in blue, show up in our final expression as the first term and last term. Our last term and our first term. Also notice that the terms in the other two boxes, the negative 9x and the 8x, combine together to give us the middle term in our expression, our final expression. Now this is going to be important here in a moment when we get ready to actually try to factor. So you might be wondering, what does this have to do with the idea of factoring? Well, since 2x minus 3 and 3x plus 4 multiply together to make us 6x squared minus x minus 12, they are a factor pair of 6x squared minus x minus 12. So that leads us to our last vocabulary word, a factor pair of a trinomial. A factor pair of a trinomial are two algebraic expressions that multiply together to make the given trinomial. And in this case, our algebraic expressions were 2x minus 3 and 3x plus 4. Those were our factor pair. So all this brings us to our first example. We're actually going to take 3n squared minus 17n plus 10, and we're going to try to find a factor pair of it. Now, what I want you to see, first off, is that, remember the first term? that it showed up in that first box. So we're going to write 3n squared in our first box. Now the 10 showed up in our last box. Now our goal is to find two terms that multiply to 3n squared and two terms that multiply to 10, but will give us terms inside of these two boxes right here that will add up to negative 17n. Now let me show you. Let's go with 3n squared. Now we can split up 3n squared in a variety of ways, but I'm going to choose to split 3n squared up into 3n and n. Now the 10 is going to be a little bit more tricky. What are factors of 10? Well, we could start with 10 and 1. So again, I'm just guessing some factors of 10 and some factors of 3n squared, lining them up to see if they'll give us two boxes that will add together to give us negative 17n. So 3n times 10 gives us n. That clearly does not give us negative 17n, because we go 1 times n, it's going to give us just plain n. So these two will not combine together to get negative 17n in the middle. So we can try again. Instead of 10 and 1, let's try 5 and 2. So we go 3n times 5 is 15n, and 2 times n is 2n. Now if we combine our middle terms, the 2n and 15n, we get 17n, which is real close to what we're looking for, but we really want a negative, not a positive. Well, good news is we can change the sign of our 2 and 5 to make it negative 2 and negative 5, which means negative 2 times n is going to give us negative 2n. 3n times negative 5 is going to give us negative 15n. And we combine that, we get negative 17n in the middle. Notice the negative 2 times negative 5 still multiply together to give us this positive 10 at the end. So let's check our answer just real quick. We get 3n squared minus 17n plus 10. And our answer does indeed check out because n minus 5 and 3n minus 2 multiply together to give us 3n squared minus 17n plus 10. So we write our final answer as n minus 5 and 3n minus 2. Now you could have written 3n minus 2 and then n minus 5. That would have worked just as fine, or just fine as well. Now, if you feel ready, you can go ahead and try to find the factor pair of this on your own, pressing pause and pressing play when you're ready to see the answer. But if you'd like to see one more worked out, just go ahead and let the video play and watch me work out one more, and there'll be another one after this for you to work on your own. And we know right off the bat that in this upper left-hand box we're going to get 4x squared. Lower right-hand box we're going to get negative 9. Now our goal is to find factors of 4x squared and factors of negative 9, that when we fill out the rest of the box, these two middle terms will add up together to give me a positive 9x. So again, 4x squared from right here, and negative 9 showed up in this bottom box right here. So what are some factors of 4x squared? Well, I will tell you that almost all the examples we're going to give you, if we give you a 4x squared, or just an x squared at all, we're going to split it up into two different x's. So let me try to do 2x and 2x and see if that works. Next, I can find factors of negative 9. Now, I can do positive 3 and negative 3. 2x times 3 gives us 6x. Negative 3 times 2x gives us negative 6x. And you'll notice negative 6x and positive 6x combine to give us 0. So I could try it the other direction. Instead of negative 3 and positive 3, I can try positive 3 and negative 3 up here. And that's going to give us negative 6x and 6x. Well, that didn't work either. So maybe I need to try a different factor pair of 9, since negative 3 and 3 did not work. Well, what's some other factor pairs of negative 9? Well, we could try negative 9 and positive 1. 2x times negative 9 is negative 18x. 2x times 1 is 2x. Negative 18x, 2x do not combine to give us 9x. And you know what? When we switch the signs and make it positive 9, negative 1, it's just going to make these signs change to negative 2x, positive 18x. which still is not going to give us 9x. So we tried all of the factors of negative 9. None of them worked. That means that we need to try some different factors of 4x squared. So the other factors of 4x squared are 4x and x. So again, I'm going to try, let's just try negative 3 and 3. So 4x times negative 3 is negative 12x, and x times 3 is 3x. When we combine our middle terms, the 3x and the negative 12x, we get negative 9x, and we want a positive 9x. So, since that did not work, I'm going to change this to a negative 3 and a positive 3. Notice they still multiply together to give us negative 9, but when we multiply our box out again, negative 3 times x is negative 3x, 4x times 3 is 12x, and they do indeed combine together to give us a positive 9x. So our factors are x plus 3 and 4x minus 3. Now you could have written that as 4x minus 3 and then x plus 3. Would have been the same answer. Go ahead and try to find the factor pair of 10y squared minus 3y minus 27. Pressing pause and pressing play when you're ready to see the answer. The factors that I got, and you should have got, were 2y plus 3 and 5y minus 9. Alright, go ahead and try to find the factor pair of 5r squared minus 6r plus 1. Pressing pause and pressing play when you're ready to see the answer. Now this one should have been a lot more straightforward because 5r squared only had one pair of factors, 5r and r, and positive 1 could either have been 1 and 1 or negative 1, negative 1. So I got 5r minus r minus 1 as my factor pair.